love red snapper, shrimp,
tofu, and rasta pasta?
Well, find your way over to Mango's Caribbean Restaurant, 180 Auburn Avenue, right next to Royal Peacock
in downtown Atlanta.
Them belly full, but we hungry.
Mango's Caribbean Restaurant, open daily from 11 a.m. to 10 p.m. And on Friday and Saturday, we're open till 4 a.m.
Come to Mango's and put some spice in your life.
So we've got a good thing going.
Mango's Caribbean Restaurant, 180 Auburn Avenue, right next to Royal Peacock
in downtown Atlanta.
For more info or directions, call 404-698-3992
or log on to mangoscaribbeanrestaurant.com.
For instant coupons, text MANGOS to 313131.
Tell your mama hungry, papa hungry, brother hungry.
Mango's Caribbean Restaurant.
Authentic Caribbean cuisines.
Open up the door, tell your mama hungry.
Shop Velvet Online Women's Boutique to spice up your closet with trendy, unique looks. We have fashionable and chic looks at very affordable prices. Velvet Boutique offers free shipping all year long on all orders. Shop online at www.melvetboutique.com. That's www.melvetboutique.com. Like us on Facebook and follow us on Instagram. Shop Velvet Online Women's Boutique.
Sugar Chateau Desserts is a specialty bakery located in the Charlotte, North Carolina metro area. We will create delicious and one-of-a-kind treats for any occasion. Sugar Chateau is currently shipping cakes in a jar, offering a variety of different flavors in a single-serve container that can help you celebrate in accordance with social distancing. Place your orders today by calling 803-526-7895 or visiting sugarchateaudesserts.com.
For 200 years, Montgomery, Alabama has been making history by people who had the courage to stand up for change. Today, this riverfront city has been reborn, embracing the past and looking forward to the future. From the National Memorial for Peace and Justice to the stage of the Alabama Shakespeare Festival, this is where history was and is made. We are proud to call Montgomery home, and together, we can be the change.
The Cuvée Group.
All right, welcome to another edition of the O&G Strike Zone. I'm Brian Fulford, and that man right there is Kelvin Rozier. And it's just us two guys today as our third member of our crew, Kofi Hemingway. Feeling a little bit under the weather, nothing serious, so don't freak out or nothing. But, he's just down and out, so the boys have to fill in for him. Kelvin, how you doing?
I'm doing well, man. Glad to be here, man. Got a lot to talk about today.
Yes, indeed, we do. Yes, indeed, we do. We finally got a win. Rattler football is on the board with a dub in 2021. It's been 2 years, 21 months, 660-plus days. Kelvin, they can rejoice in the streets of Tallahassee and around Bragg Stadium. We got to win. We got to win. We got to win.
Absolutely, man. A W heals all things.
Yeah, you know what? Oh, for sure. Yeah, definitely. Good point. It does heal all things. Makes you feel a little bit better. And then again, the defense did a great job. FAMU with a 34-7 victory over Fort Valley State, and just like back in 2019. It was Fort Valley State that got us on a 9-game winning streak. So let's not forget that. But this time, it wasn't quite the offensive showcase that it was a couple of years ago. We actually had to work for this one, did we not?
Yes, we did, and I'm not gonna be like you were a week or two ago and ask for any flowers or anything. But this game did kind of play out how I predicted on last week's show. What I feel may be the case. I was really afraid of putting the freshmen in. Um, Big home crowd, first start, and just being in that environment. I knew he was gonna make some freshman mistakes. He had a couple of turnovers and everything, and we got off to a slow first half.
Well, you're we're going to get into that here in a second. Your trepidation about the freshmen. we are going to go back and forth about this all year, or at least until somebody is settled in. But before we get into it, let me make sure to remind the people to like and subscribe wherever you're watching us. If you're watching us on YouTube, make sure you go ahead and hit that like button. Make sure you're subscribing to us on the Jericho Broadcast Networks. If you're watching us on Facebook, make sure to like and go ahead and share with Rattler Nation and let them know the ONG is live right now. Make sure you're following us on social media, Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram at ONG Strike Zone. And then, of course, as you see right up there in the top right of your screen, you can always download that Jericho Broadcast Networks app. Just go to your Google or Apple Play Store. My JBN, my BCSN is where you can go. And anytime a show is going on, we are part of the Black College Sports Network. So anytime a show is going out, you will get a notification about us. And I do. As we're going into the show, I did receive word that Kofi might be in one of the chat rooms. So feel free to comment and leave some comments, whether you're in YouTube or Facebook watching us. And Kofi might be in there to give some commentary as well. So we know he's watching. And again, we want to wish him well and good health. Nothing serious again, just feeling a little bit under the weather. And so we hope, and we're pretty sure he will be back with us next week. But as we were talking about this game, yes, the freshman quarterback, Junior Maritovic, did get the call to start. Now, notice Coach Simmons went to that decision very early in the week last week. And so Junior did get the start. And, it's funny. I was trying to reach out to his high school coach just to kind of get some feel and this, played phone tag, really. Never got a reply back to any of my calls or tweets. So, didn't get a chance to really kind of find out from him what type of feel he might have for this. But, as you mentioned, he did struggle a little bit. First couple of offensive possessions. We went three. Actually, he threw an interception, third play of the first possession. Ended up throwing an interception. I believe it was fifth play of the second possession. And so already at that point, everybody's kind of probably buzzing. It's like, oh my God, here we go. But needless to say, the young man kind of held strong, came back in the third possession, marched the Rattlers down on an 11-play, 64-yard drive, which resulted in a touchdown after a Fort Valley State punt. So we finally get on the board, but Kelvin, we really, we moved into a field goal opportunity in the next possession, and then after that was a punt, and really it was a half, and the offense never really took off. So talk a little bit about that first half from the offense and what you saw.
So I saw a lot of things that concern me. Frankly, the Jackson State game. I don't think we're innovative enough in terms of what we're showing it. And I'm not sure if we're holding some plays back or, so that folks don't get an early scout on us or what the case is. But we seem to be pretty predictable and basic in terms of a lot of our sets and run calls, right? Pretty much zone reads, and a lot of screens and outside. We still don't seem to be targeting the middle. And though we do a decent job of run blocking, we're not committed to it, right? We don't stick with it and loosen the defense up a little bit more. And so those are some things that I noticed. I don't, I don't fault Junior. I mean, all freshmen is gonna, the first time out usually gonna make some mistakes, right? It happens. So I still think he's extremely talented, and he may be the guy before the season's over with. But I still stick by two things. One, it has to be earned, and stats matter. And I thought, our run game was pretty decent. Our run block was pretty decent. Quarterback play in the first half was not good, and offensive protection was average in terms of the passing game.
You say that as if he didn't impress you enough during camp. I mean, I think from everything we've heard though, it was a pretty even camp. I think there are enough reports out there that talk to the level of his acumen. I guess my thing is there's not much separating him and McKay in terms of on-field experience. And so I thought maybe the biggest mistake that was made is not letting those guys both get opportunities in that first half against Jackson State. And we see it just kind of carried over, and so now we're playing quarterback shuffle where McKay comes in now in the second half. And notice Coach Simmons went to the switcheroo at halftime, and a lot of us, me included, a lot of folks felt like that was the move that should have been made at Jackson State, is make the switch at halftime. But Coach held on to McKay until he finally had to make the switch. From the reports that I heard. And so now it brings us to this quandary as we get ready to go into game 3 against an FBS opponent. There has not been an official statement as to who is going to be starting. So I don't know. I honestly don't think we'll know until Saturday. I think Coach will keep that in his pocket until Saturday. Now you got to remember, you guys talked about being coy against Jackson State. Now Coach can really be, keep it in his pocket now, because it's like, okay, we got two quarterbacks. I'm not going to tell you which one we're going to start until after the kickoff or our first possession. Now he can be what you guys, wanted him to be previously, right?
Absolutely, and I helped Coach out a little bit more with that. We played 3 quarterbacks against Fort Valley. Sap got in for a few plays also, and honestly, I'd like to see him get a little more reps, but that goes against my first principle, is that we need to establish a starter, right? I don't want to play musical chairs for the entire year. I do agree with you, Brian, though, that we need separation, and we haven't seen enough separation yet from the 2 quarterbacks that are doing it right now. So I'm hopeful we'll begin to start to see that separation starting with this game. I don't know what to expect this game. I think our defense travels. I think, special teams will travel. And so that theoretically supposed to keep you in games, right? We got good talent. We play good defense. We have good special teams. So I'm hoping that's the case, and that we play up to our potential, and we're in the game in the third, fourth quarter, and see where we go from there. With that mentality and that mindset, I think I would like to see McKay start, just because of the experience thing, junior and so forth. And I just think he's deserving and earning it for now. I have no problem with if Coach decides to pull him if he's not doing well, or if he comes with a philosophy where he's going to alternate series or alternate quarters for this game. It wouldn't bother me, but I do want to see us establish a number 1 guy and see some separation. And I just in order to do that, I just think that you have to limit reps to one or two guys, and they get all the reps, and let's see what the end result's gonna be.
Yeah, and I heard Coach Simmons talk about that on the press conference on the SWAC media call, and even he brought it up in the in the Willie Simmons live show that he wants one quarterback to stand out, and unfortunately, that hasn't happened, and so they're going to play this out. How long remains to be seen, and I don't know. I don't know if you really find an answer against an FBS opponent. Although, as we'll talk about later, I think this is the right opponent at the right time to find that out, right? Because it's not like we're walking into a team that has done great this season, a team that has an established history. Not like one of those Miami teams or even UCF from 2019. This is a totally different animal we're walking into. This is an animal that's walking in limping and wounded. And yeah, he'll be protecting his own home base, but he may only have one life to live. Kind of like that video of that cat that was hanging in Miami by one arm and one paw. Except let's hope that no one has an American flag to save him. You know what I mean? Because that's about where the USF's program is right now. So, but back to the game. Of course, you mentioned Rashawn McKay came in the second half. The score was tied at 7. McKay comes in the second half. He ends up going 12 for 16 for 176 yards, 1 touchdown on the opening drive of the third quarter. Engineers an 8-play, 74-yard drive, hit Xavier Smith for a 32-yard touchdown, and FAMU takes the lead, which would be the lead for good. And then a little bit later, Nadarius Fagan, who I'm not sure if Fagan came back in the first half because, remember, he was the player that got ejected for targeting against Jackson State. So I don't know if that was only a second half suspension of the Jackson State game or whether that carried over into that first half. But needless to say, Fagan got a 45-yard fumble recovery, scoop and score. Rattlers go up 21-7. Going to the fourth quarter, we get a field goal, then a Bonnet touchdown. And so by that point in time, Rattlers are up 31-7. Everyone's feeling good, relatively speaking. And, the FAMU's defense, again, showed up well. Deontay Williams, defensive end, 6'2", from Florida State, grad transfer, was named the SWAC Newcomer of the Week, had 3 tackles for loss, 2 sacks, a forced fumble. And really just one more positive day for FAMU's defense. And Kelvin, I'll tell you what, that's the one encouraging thing right now. It's like we know what the one thing is. It's like we got a strong defense. Special teams is playing well. We know we've got the receivers. We know we got the backs. We got a pretty good offensive line. I think all we need, we know it's the quarterback, and I'm going to say this. I think it's the quarterback and the play calling. The quarterback and the play calling has to be better. And so those are 2 areas that I think are hurting FAMU right now. And I say hurting loosely because realistically, we're a blocked field goal away from being 2-0. Let's be real.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So, I got people, it's funny, people in the SWAC or, other shows and other people that talk, they constantly remind me and they say, Brian, it's not that bad. Remember, you guys really probably could be up 2-0. And I'm like, yeah, you know what? You're right. We really probably should be 2-0. So what are your takeaways on the second half and the defensive performance that we've seen thus far, Kelvin?
Well, like you say, we know we can lay out where we can lay our head at, right? We know we can lay it on. They tackle well. I've seen some chatter on social media with some discussions I had about receivers catching balls against the secondary. So, but we only gave up like 207 yards or so the entire game. We almost doubled them up in terms of offensive production, them being Fort Valley State. And the teams are going to make plays, right? You're not going to just totally shut people down. You know, you keep a team for a whole game under 250 yards. That's good defense. All right.
Yes.
So
Very
now
good.
you
Very good.
so now you get nitpicky. We're averaging 2 or 3 turnovers a game. I believe this is the second game in a row. We ain't played but 2 of them. Well, we recovered fumbles and now we've turned one back for a touchdown. So we're getting turnovers, we're getting sacks. They hitting all the buckets, man. You know, so defensively, man, I think it's scary that they're this solid and in tune and playing as a unit already. And they still don't have all their pieces. There's still some guys that haven't played. There's some guys who just, now starting to play. So they're only going to get deeper and better. And I also would like to remind Rattler Nation and the haters that we're playing really good teams, right? Jackson State went on to put a pretty good whooping on Tennessee State this weekend. And we know what Fort Valley had done against Tuskegee. And right now, our defense is averaging giving up 7 points a game.
Right.
So we are really close. We are really close. I know we want to. We long for those Billy Joe days, man, when we used to hang 70 and 80 on people, right?
Yeah.
That's hard to do. I don't know how realistic that is. But if we figure out this whole offensive thing, man, we may be back in those Billy Joe days moving forward.
It's interesting to hear Coach Simmons talk about the mental side of what the delay or the time off may be for our players, because he's talked about guys trying to play football instead of just playing football, and know that these guys have played for years. There's nobody on there who just started a couple years ago, but I've heard him say it on a couple different occasions now that guys are probably pressing. And it's interesting to hear that, because we don't talk about that. I mean, I haven't heard many talking heads or many journalists or analysts or whoever. I don't hear that talked about enough, that there might be this thing that might be a legitimate thing as to why we're seeing some of the struggles from McKay. And he's not even talking to McKay. He's talking about running backs not running in the right spots, in the right reads, and the holes, and the offensive. So he's not just putting it all on McKay. He's talking about that entire offensive unit. So yes, even though they've had the spring practices, and we may have undervalued this delay, these 600 something days off. We don't really know, because the last time there was a delay of a whole season was back in World War II. I mean, we've had consecutive seasons since World War II, right? So I mean, we haven't had a delay like this. So it is interesting to hear. And so as we are going into this season, we're starting to see the offense pick up and find itself. And we've all said, everyone will probably agree that it usually takes the offense the longest to catch up. And so that's that's a product of what we're seeing. And so, as you said, Rattler Nation, we want success. We want excellence. We can't understand why it looks the way, but let's consider this delay, this unprecedented 2 years off, that it may actually have affected us. And we are very fortunate that our defense and special teams is as good as it is, and to kind of keep us in these ball games and actually even get us a win. Let me talk about the stats real quick before we go to break, Kelvin, because you brought them up. We did hold Fort Valley State to 244 yards of total offense. 209 of that was passing. We held them to 35 net rushing yards. Say that again. We held them to 35 net rushing yards. That's 1.8 yards per rush. They threw the ball 42 times, because that's really all they could do to move the ball on us. Offensively, we put up nearly 402 yards. The running looked pretty solid again. 31 running attempts, 143 yards. I said I really felt like this is a team that we probably need to run the ball 60, 55% of the time. I mean, this time the numbers, we passed the ball 39 times and ran the ball 31. That's not that's almost 55-45 if I had to unofficially do the math. It's not quite 50-50, obviously. But I think I would not be surprised to see us run more against USF than pass, because I think that's what this team needs. That's what Junior Maritovic, that's probably what McKay needs. They need more running to set up the pass versus I think what we want to do is we want to pass to set up the run. Does that make sense?
Yes, and that's what I see too, and I agree with you, man. We need to use the run to set up the pass, and again, utilize our tight ends and the middle field a bit more. And Bill, I think it's important also, Brian, real quick, just the counter runs we do, right? Zone read is fine, but I would like to see a play or two where you got a hole to get to, and somebody got to make that block, and you got to hit that hole and so forth, and not just trying to hand the ball off and wait for a gap to open.
We did go small with our running backs. Bishop Bonnet led the rushing, 9 attempts for 70 yards, 67 net yards, and a touchdown. DeAndre Francis, 8 carries, 48 yards. Eddie Tillman III, I don't think we saw him against Jackson State. 7 carries, 24 yards, 19 net yards. Didn't see much from Terrell Jennings. Not sure if there was something there. Didn't see much from Jennings. He only had 1 attempt in the contest. Xavier Smith, 5 catches, 73 yards and a score. Jamari Shareed, 7 catches, 48 yards. Chad Hunter, 2 catches for 41. Manigo, 3 catches for 32. A few other guys, of course. Kamari Young got the first touchdown of the season. He had 2 catches for 30 yards. Before we go to break, real quick, note on defense, Antoine Collier from the safety from UCF, transfer, led the tackling with 5 tackles and 1 pass breakup, all solo. He had 1 tackle for loss as well. And then, of course, as mentioned, Deontay Williams with the outstanding performance, 3 tackles for loss, 2 sacks, 1 forced fumble. So that's pretty much some of the individual statistics. Again, another booming day by Chris Fadul. 2 punts, 49 each, both 2 touchbacks. So nice performance there by Fadul. So we're going to go to a short break, and when we come back, we'll talk about some of the other festivities that went on this past weekend, including a host of Rattlers being inducted into the Florida A&M Sports Hall of Fame, and then an honor well-deserved finally happened on the field for the next FAMU football coach going into the Hall of Fame. We'll talk about that and more. You're watching the O&G Strike Zone on the Black College Sports Network.
The Cuvée Group is a Florida-based marketing and training consulting firm. We help businesses communicate to their target audience and engage them in conversation. We also help to expand their audiences, which will ultimately result in growth for those organizations. In addition to being a certified constant contact specialist, my colleagues and I are also certified in John Maxwell Leadership Principles. We use these proven principles to conduct workshops, training, and private coaching sessions for individuals and companies looking to take things to the next level. Contact us to schedule a free consultation. Issues today, don't delay, call Cuvée.
Since 2002, Empowerment Resources, Inc., a nonprofit organization, has empowered more than 1,500 youth and adults in Duval and surrounding counties through its programs Journey into Womanhood, Girls Mentoring, Life Skills for Teens, and Parenting Education Coaching. To get involved with programs, volunteer, or donate, visit www.empowermentresourcesinc.org. Follow us on social media, facebook.com/empowerment.resources and instagram.com/empowermentjax.
It's never too early to plant the seed, to share the tradition, and instill a sense of pride in your HBCU with your little ones. HBCU Pride and Joy Children's Boutique helps you share your school spirit with a wide selection of adorable kids' apparel and accessories officially licensed from your favorite HBCU. Visit hbcupridejoy.com and follow us on all social media at HBCU Pride Joy on Facebook and Twitter.
The human voice has always connected audiences with experiences. Major brands all across America have trusted Kever's voice time and time again. Conversational, powerhouse, intelligent, and sincere. That's the voice you need for your creative marketing process. KEAVERSVOICE.com. Kever's Voice, Kever's Voice, KeversVoice.com. Always on, all the time.
Are you?
Kelvin Rozier today without our man Kofi Hemingway, but he will be back with us next week for sure. Want to make mention of a special presentation that happened during well, I don't think it happened during halftime. As a matter of fact, I know it didn't happen during halftime. It happened during the game when the National Football Foundation, which is the organization that oversees the College Hall of Fame, the College Football Hall of Fame, they were actually able to have their what they call on-campus salutes. And so for every class, and of course this is the 2021 class. Actually, no, mistake. It was the 2020 and 21 class because obviously with COVID and things like that, they didn't do the class of 2020. Nope, that's the wrong image there. That's there you see there, Coach Hubbard, Coach Rudy Hubbard was honored at halftime. Or not halftime. We got Roy. We got the wrong images there up. So let me go back to my producer behind the scenes, and we don't want to confuse people. The Hall of Fame had their on-campus salutes presented by Fidelity Investments. Coach Hubbard was one of the first stops that the NFF did, and so they recognized Coach Hubbard. There's a, you can see there's a, well, we didn't have the picture, but trust me, it happened when they did the presentation to Coach Hubbard, who will be inducted December 7th, I think is when they're going to do the actual inductees. And he will be the fourth FAMU football coach to go into the Hall. Of course, behind most recently Joe Taylor, before him Billy Joe, and of course Jake Gaither. That's four, right? I do have that number, right, Kelvin?
That is four.
Okay, yeah, I just want to make sure, because God forbid if I leave somebody out, I'll never hear the end of it, So that was the nice presentation that they had on the field during the game. And then, of course, another presentation that they had during the game was actually the recognition of the FAMU Sports Hall of Fame, which was actually held on Friday, the night before. And that class was a mix of the 2020 class and the class of 2021. So obviously, because of the COVID pandemic, they combined the two classes, very similar to what the NFL Hall of Fame did, if you saw that. And so that's where we have the list of inductees that went into the Florida A&M Sports Hall of Fame. So we'll go through some of those names and some of those sports. We'll start with the class of 2020, Kelvin. It's a list of athletes, supporters, contributors, coaches, financial supporters, things of that nature. But the 2020 class, of course, the 2020 class starts with Quinn Gray, quarterback from 98 to 2001. At the time when he finished, of course, he was the school's all-time leader in pass attempts, completions, passing yards, and touchdown passes. He was twice the MEAC, all MEAC honors, led the Rattlers to back-to-back titles in 2000, 2001, and a part of 4 NCAA playoff teams. And so now Coach Gray, as we call him Coach Gray now, he's coaching over at Alcorn State now. Let's go through some of the other names, Kelvin, that kind of headline that class of 2020.
So in terms of athlete, I thought the committee did a yeoman's job, both with the 2020 and the 2021 class. They covered pretty much all the sports. They got the who's who, some of the greatest athletes they ever done on the orange and green. So I thought they did a fabulous job. This was one of those times where I think most these will be unanimous choices. First of all, so they got women's volleyball. Adriana Costa Nova. That was during our period of time where we were extremely dominant. When we were hosting the NCAAs, we were of course winning the MEAC, and we were actually defeating ranked Power 5 schools on the road like Nebraska and so forth. And she was the centerpiece of those 2003, 2004 teams. All tournament 3 times, All American, had a tournament win. We talked about the national teams we beat. Nebraska just sticks out because it was their tournament. It was in their gym, and they found out who FAMU was that day. They was number 2 in the nation, if I remember correctly.
Right.
So she was one of the selections. Our current golf coach now, Coach Mike Rice, Preston. He was All-American and an awesome golfer at FAMU, and now he's back leading the Orange and Green, and of course took us. We got a national minority championship, and of course we won the conference in our last year in the MEAC, and he took us to the NCAA. And DeLon Turner, that was when I was in school.
Right.
And he was a very exciting player to watch. Physical, but a get up. He reminded me of Charles Barkley personally. But it was can't miss basketball. Some of the best times of my life. Definitely well deserved Miami native. Black College All-American. Conference Player of the Year in '92. Just finished at the time career number 2 all-time scorer, number 3 rebounding. So he was an offense. He was a two-way player. He was an offensive and defensive player. And then of course Dr. Urs, who's my personal dentist. All about smiles. Free plug. And a FAMU High Baby Rattler as a supporter. Been supporting FAMU athletics and promoting the university forever, and of course is well deserved. And the Mingos, I think anybody who's been around FAMU the last 40, 50 years know the Mingos, right? So just as supporters. So from athletes to supporters, I just thought it was a really awesome job with that class, and well deserved.
Now we also on that list, because this probably predates both of us and our time as Rattlers, but we also had Mervyn Jones from the basketball program, 3-year letter winner, and he played from 82 to 85. Now when he finished as the school's all-time leader in scoring, assists, free throws made, field goals made. Averaged 19.7 and 3 assists as a senior and 16 as a junior. He was named to the 85 Florida Citrus Bowl Red Lobster Classic All-American team back then. And then, of course, wrestling. Now, obviously FAMU does not have a wrestling program right now, but we did. I would love to see us go back to having a wrestling program, Kelvin, just to throw that out there, just to say, hey, I'd love to see us be able to compete in a sport like that. But the twin brothers, Harold and Carol Roberts of Miami, they were stellar members of FAMU's men's wrestling teams of the late 60s, early 70s. Each brother won 2 state titles between 68 and 70, and they were both state finalists in 68 and 69. So that was the class of 2020. Then we had the class of 2021, which was made up of 6 male athletes, 4 female athletes, a coach, and then selection as a financial contributor, a couple of financial contributors, and a supporter. And so I'll first mention the coach who went in, and that was the head coach, Dr. Darlene Moore, track and field, who coached the women's track program from 2009 to 2019, where she led the Lady Rattlers to 3 overall MEAC track and field titles and 7 straight cross-country titles, earning 10 Conference of the Year honors. She was an HBCU Digest Female Coach of the Year in 2015, and she coached 31 individual championship performers. And she was twice the director of the track program, where she was coaching not just the women, but the men as well. So we know A&T is getting a lot of love right now for their track program, and rightfully so. But Dr. Moore was doing it for FAMU big, and we hope that now that we're in the SWAC, where there's some competitive track and field programs over there, we hope to see our Rattlers competing on a high level over there. How about some of the female athletes, Kelvin, and then I'll go and do some of the male athletes.
Okay, so 2 of the female athletes are from Coach Moore's tenure as track coach. They were cross country stars. A lot of people may not know that we were actually ranked a couple of times under Coach Moore in women's cross country within our region. So, and two Kenyans, Cynthia Chiligo and Effie. They both were part of the team 2012, 2013, the 2015, 2016. They were the core of that. They were the leaders of that. They typically finished 1-2 every meet they participated in, and that's including against our regional peers from the PWC side also. And they didn't finish 1 and 2. They was in the top 5 every time. So they, of course, are deserving, and they stayed here. And if I remember correctly, those ladies were like nursing majors or something like that. They stayed during the summers, and matriculated through very quickly. So they were good academic students as well as athletes. And that's the one thing I want to say about Coach Moore also, that I don't think she gets enough flowers for. So, of course, she was dominant and had dominant teams, women's teams specifically. But also, typically her teams had the highest GPA out of all the athletes and highest graduation rates. So, she's not Dr. Moore for nothing. All right.
Right.
And then the other inductees, females, were softball players that were around 91 to 94. Marcelina Smith and Centilla Andrews, Detroit natives, and they had been high school teammates, and they helped the softball team to titles from '92 to '94. Again, dominant years. Smith was a catcher, 353 average, and led the Division One with 19 home runs. Andrews was a pitcher, won 38 career games, 200, almost 300 strikeouts for a career, and winning 20 games in the circle in 1994 championship year. So, again, very deserving athletes, and these athletes are from two different decades, but the more modern era of FAMU athletics. But I thought the committee did a good job of balancing that out. And getting folks from between the two classes from different eras also.
Yeah, definitely. How cool is that? Just the fact that you had a pitcher and a catcher. I mean, when you see one and you just go ahead and bring them both. I mean, you talk about a dynamic duo coming in. I mean, that's kind of how you want to do it. If you had your druthers, you definitely want to try to bring in. Nobody's going to know your pitcher better than the catcher, and especially if both of them are hitting and playing that well, then that was a great find. And of course, we were one of the dominant. Well, we held our own in softball. We were, I believe, the first program to win a MEAC title, and so as you pointed out, winning 3 straight titles with those ladies from '92, '3, and '4. Those were those years I was on the yard. So, I mean, those were good years for the softball program. Moving over to the male athletes, the non-football athlete who got inducted because it was heavy on the football side for the men in 2021, Dr. Ephraim Riggins, played baseball for FAMU from 1971 to 75. An honors graduate of the FAMU School of Pharmacy, pitched for the Rattlers, had a record of 21-6 with 10 saves in relief, finishing with a 2.30 earned run average lifetime. Voted the team's top freshman in 1972, a 2-time most outstanding pitcher in the FAMU Spring Carnival of 1974 and 1975. He's also an active Alumni Association member and the president of the Rattler Baseball Alumni Association. I had a chance to meet a couple of Rattler alums this summer at the MVP. So that was a tremendous honor. So maybe one day I'll get an opportunity to meet Mr. Riggins and continue to add to the list of Rattler baseball alums that I get the pleasure of meeting through this thing we call the O&G Strike Zone. Now for the men, the male athletes, other male athletes were all from the football field. They start back in. Let me see. I'm gonna try to do it in chronological order here. And so I'll start with the oldest, which was Merlin Jones, who played football from 1982 to 1985. The twin brother of 2020 Hall of Fame class member Mervyn Jones. Merlin was a 3-year starter on the Rattler defense, a preseason Street and Smith All-American selection. He actually was drafted by the New Orleans Saints, where he played 3 seasons as a linebacker and defensive end. Then moving into the late 80s, 1988 to 1990, Amir Rasul, a former FAMU High Star athlete, became a feature back for the Rattlers as a junior and senior, rushing for 940 yards and 11 touchdowns as a junior, over 1,000 yards and 9 touchdowns as a senior. He was a 2-time All-MEAC selection, was the Offensive Player of the Year, and had All-American honors in 1990. Had some professional stints with Buffalo, Miami, as well as Ohio of the USFL. Then there was Jamie Nails, the 2-time All-American left tackle of those early Billy Joe era years, 3-time All-MEAC performer, anchor of back-to-back championships in 95 and 96, was drafted in 97 by the Buffalo Bills, played several seasons with the Miami Dolphins. And then moving on into the next decade, Wesley Taylor from 2004 to 2007, one of the school's all-time great special teams performers. Led the Rattlers in punting 3 years in a row between 05 and 7. Shattered a single-season record with a 45.9 average, which was tops in Division I FCS, earning All-American honors. Any idea what is Chris Fadul's average right now? In his highest average in a season. Any ideas, Kelvin, off the top of your head?
I want to say 46, but I'm guessing.
Okay. So he may have passed Taylor's 45.9. His performance in the 2006 Florida Classic will forever be remembered by his 43-yard field goal that forced overtime, completing an improbable comeback for the Rattlers, who trailed 17-0 at one point in that game. Taylor also clinched a victory with a 25-yarder. I do remember that. And then, of course, the All-American return specialist Leroy Van, who played from 06 to 09. Now he played for Joe Taylor, in which Van became a two-time All-American, shattered numerous school, conference, and even some NCAA marks in punt and kickoff returns. He actually still holds the NCAA record for career combined kick returns for touchdowns. Again, that's career combined kick returns for touchdowns. That's 11 total, 8 punt returns, 3 kickoff returns. That mark is still standing. It hasn't been broken. I think it's been tied, but it has not been broken. He had the high mark for punt returns for touchdowns in a season, which was 5 in 2009, and the career mark for punt return yards, over 1,000 yards on 53 runbacks. He is one of 6 players all-time in NCAA history to record over 1,000 career yards in both punt returns and kickoff returns. So Leroy Van, one of the great ones. So, also, I guess I don't want to leave out. I know we're rushed to get the break, but want to make mention of the financial contributors that were inducted. Ray Matthews Sr., who is a native of Tampa, a distinguished alumnus of FAMU, of course. He's contributed a lot of money to the athletic program. And Mr. Selvin Cobb, who's also been a longtime supporter of the athletics program. He's a longtime Rattler booster, serves on the boosters board. And then the supporter who was inducted was Mrs. Virginia Pinckney, who was a graduate of FAMU in elementary education, served as a volunteer in athletics and athletic-related functions for nearly 20 years. Ms. Pinckney, a retired educator, began volunteering first for the Rattler Booster office before moving over to the ticket office, working as much as 4 days a week. They might have needed Ms. Pinckney this past weekend, from what I hear, Kelvin. That's just something I heard. All right, we're going to go to a break. Again, congratulations to all the Rattlers. Hey, and shout out to our good friend Alvin Hollins for all the work he did in putting all that information together for us. And that information is out there. I think if it's not on it should be on the FAMUathletics.com website. It should be there somewhere. If not, we'll make sure to post it up on our Facebook page so that you can read the full bios on those Rattlers. All right, we got to catch up on some breaks. And so you're listening to the O&G Strike Zone. Brian and Kelvin tonight. We'll be back right after these words.
Hungry for authentic Caribbean food like jerk chicken, oxtail, red snapper, shrimp, tofu, and rasta pasta? Well, find your way over to Mango's Caribbean Restaurant, 180 Auburn Avenue, right next to Royal Peacock in downtown Atlanta.
Them belly full, but we hungry.
Mango's Caribbean Restaurant, open daily from 11 a.m. to 10 p.m. And on Friday and Saturday, we're open till 4 a.m. Come to Mango's and put some spice in your life.
So we've got a good thing going.
Mango's Caribbean Restaurant, 180 Auburn Avenue, right next to Royal Peacock in downtown Atlanta. For more info or directions, call 404-698-3992 or log on to mangoscaribbeanrestaurant.com. For instant coupons, text MANGOS to 313131.
Tell your mama hungry, papa hungry, brother hungry.
Mango's Caribbean Restaurant. Authentic Caribbean cuisines.
Open up the door. Tell your mama hungry.
Shop Velvet Online Women's Boutique to spice up your closet with trendy, unique looks. We have fashionable and chic looks at very affordable prices. Velvet Boutique offers free shipping all year long on all orders. Shop online at www.melvetboutique.com. That's www.melvetboutique.com. Like us on Facebook and follow us on Instagram. Shop Velvet Online Women's Boutique.
Sugar Chateau Desserts is a specialty bakery located in the Charlotte, North Carolina metro area. We will create delicious and one-of-a-kind treats for any occasion. Sugar Chateau is currently shipping cakes in a jar, offering a variety of different flavors in a single-serve container that can help you celebrate in accordance with social distancing. Place your orders today by calling 803-526-7895 or visiting sugarchateaudesserts.com.
All right, welcome back to the ONG Strike Zone. Brian Fulford, Kelvin Rozier here. And coming up here at the top of the next hour, we're going to be joined by Nathan Bond from the Daily Stampede. They cover USF football or USF athletics. And so Nathan's going to take us over to the, to the USF side of things and give us some info on the Bulls. Many people, you're not too familiar with them, so hopefully this will shed a little insight on USF and find out how realistic are our chances, and then maybe get a feel for how USF views this thing. As much as we talk about things that we need to take care of, trust me, listening to some of their commentary and their podcast and even reading some of their stories, they got just as much stuff they're trying to fix going into this game. So it's a real interesting contest on both sides of the ball, no doubt. But we do want to make mention that our Lady Rattlers tennis team is opening up their season this weekend, actually defending a title, Kelvin. They're actually defending their 2019 HBCU National Tennis Championship. Now, that is a tournament that is hosted by the South Fulton, South Fulton, Georgia, which I believe is right outside of Atlanta, if I'm not mistaken. But this is the 20th annual HBCU National Tennis Championships, and so it brings together tennis programs from all the conferences, the MEAC, SWAC, CIAA, SIC, the GCAC, OVC. Obviously, now there's more HBCUs and more conferences, so it's a good mix of programs. And the 2020 tournament did not happen, obviously, due to COVID and the pandemic. So, in essence, FAMU is the defending women's champions. We won that championship. Another MEAC school won the men's side. But for FAMU, we had two ladies. They have a B, and a C champion. And FAMU took home the B and the C championship on the individual singles side of things back in 2019. Two Rattlers who I believe are still on the roster. Eileen and Ariel. Eileen, I hope I'm saying this right. It's Hubo. I hope I'm saying that right. If I'm saying it wrong, I've said it to myself 5 different ways, so hopefully I got it right. She's a grad student right now from Argentina. And then we've also got, let me make sure I say this right. It's Ariel Neely, who was the champ on the C side. And Ariel is a senior from Buffalo, New York. So, those ladies were upperclassmen, definitely. And probably the good thing they got an extra year. And so our tennis program, Kelvin, we played last year in 2020. We made it advance to the finals, and then we kind of ran into a buzzsaw of South Carolina State, who had a real strong program last year. What do you know? What do you recall about our tennis program from a year ago, and your any thoughts on their trip right now out to Atlanta?
Well, I like their chances. We have a very experienced team, as you mentioned. The two ladies you mentioned, but we have 4 graduate students on the team, plus a senior and a junior. So this team is experienced. They've been with the program, most of them, for a while. They've had some success. They've been competitive, particularly with HBCU competition. So um, I'm looking forward to them to having a good showing and possibly bringing championships on again. And by the way, you mentioned South Carolina State. South Carolina State has won so many men's and women's MEAC championships. They've been a dynasty. They've kept us from winning on both sides several years, almost like a decade. And they recruit internationally, right? When you see their team, you can't tell they're HBCU.
Okay, I got you. I know what you mean, right? Coach Rochelle Houston, she was on the Willie Simmons Live show this past Monday. So if you had a chance to watch, you got a chance to meet Coach Nikki, as she is affectionately called. She's been with the program since 2015, and been the head coach since 2017. She is a Rattler. She's an alum. So, she finally, she got a chance to come home and lead this program. And it's awesome that they're actually getting a chance to go. This is, the more events like this HBCU National Tennis Championship, it's a great opportunity. We talk about trying to create more events like this where you can have an invitational with schools. And, you can have schools from Xavier, who's an NAIA school, to FAMU, an FCS Division I school. It doesn't matter in a sport like tennis, to be honest with you. It's like the best players play. And so there's plenty of opportunities there. And I think that kind of comes out in a sport like tennis. So the program is, let's see, if you want more information, go to hbcutennis.com. That's hbcutennis.com, and you can find out more information. Follow along. The action starts Thursday with the, let's see, the draws will probably be announced because I know they're doing the coaches meetings today. And then I think if I read correctly, the competition starts tomorrow, Thursday. So Thursday, Friday, and all weekend. But again, follow hbcutennis.com for more information on the HBCU National Tennis Championships. And we'll make sure to be tweeting out or retweeting anything we see from our Rattler tennis program, especially on Twitter. So make sure you're following them. You should be following all of our sports, to be honest with you. I don't know if you're not. I don't know why you're not. Make sure you're following O&G Strike Zone, though, because when you don't follow them, you can follow us, and we'll just do the retweets for you. How about that? All right, we're going to take a break, come back to the start of the second hour, talk to Nathan Bond from the Daily Stampede of SB Nation, and find out what's going on with the USF Bulls as they get ready to do battle with the Rattlers this weekend in Tampa. You're watching and listening to the O&G Strike Zone. We'll be back right after these words.
For 200 years, Montgomery, Alabama has been making history by people who had the courage to stand up for change. Today, this riverfront city has been reborn, embracing the past and looking forward to the future. From the National Memorial for Peace and Justice to the stage of the Alabama Shakespeare Festival, this is where history was and is made. We are proud to call Montgomery home, and together we can be the change.
The Cuvée Group is a Florida-based marketing and training consulting firm. We help businesses communicate to their target audience and engage them in conversation. We also help to expand their audiences, which will ultimately result in growth for those organizations. In addition to being a certified constant contact specialist, my colleagues and I are also certified in John Maxwell Leadership Principles. We use these proven principles to conduct workshops, training, and private coaching sessions for individuals and companies looking to take things to the next level. Contact us to schedule a free consultation. Issues today, don't delay, call Cuvée.
Since 2002, Empowerment Resources, Inc., a nonprofit organization, has empowered more than 1,500 youth and adults in Duval and surrounding counties through its programs Journey into Womanhood, Girls Mentoring, Life Skills for Teens, and parenting education coaching. To get involved with programs, volunteer, or donate, visit www.empowermentresourcesinc.org. Follow us on social media, facebook.com/empowerment.resources and instagram.com/empowermentjax.
It's never too early to plant the seed, to share the tradition, and instill a sense of pride in your HBCU with your little ones. HBCU Pride and Joy Children's Boutique helps you share your school spirit with a wide selection of adorable kids apparel and accessories officially licensed from your favorite HBCU. Visit hbcupridejoy.com and follow us on all social media at HBCU Pride Joy on Facebook and Twitter.
The human voice has always connected audiences with experiences. Major brands all across America have trusted Kever's voice time and time again. Conversational, powerhouse, intelligent, and sincere. That's the voice you need for your creative marketing process. KEAVERSVOICE.com. Kever's Voice, Kever's Voice, KeversVoice.com. Always on, all the time.
Are you hungry for authentic Caribbean food like jerk chicken, oxtail, red snapper, shrimp, tofu, and rasta pasta? Well, find your way over to Mango's Caribbean Restaurant, 180 Auburn Avenue, right next to Royal Peacock in downtown Atlanta.
Them belly full, but we hungry.
Mango's Caribbean Restaurant, open daily from 11 a.m. to 10 p.m. And on Friday and Saturday, we're open till 4 a.m. Come to Mango's and put some spice in your life.
So we've got a good thing going.
Mango's Caribbean Restaurant, 180 Auburn Avenue, right next to Royal Peacock in downtown Atlanta. For more info or directions, call 404-698-3992 or log on to mangoscaribbeanrestaurant.com. For instant coupons, text MANGOS to 313131.
Tell your mama hungry, papa hungry, brother hungry.
Mango's Caribbean Restaurant, authentic Caribbean cuisines.
Open up the door, tell them mama hungry.
All right, welcome back to the ONG Strike Zone. Brian Fulford, Kelvin Rosier, and hour number 2. FAMU is getting ready to take on the USF Bulls, and joining us to talk about the USF Bulls, a man who covers the Bulls 24/7, 365, Nathan Bond of the Daily Stampede of SB Nation. Nathan, thanks for joining us, man. How are you doing this evening?
You know what? I'm doing really well. I'm excited to be on the show. I appreciate the invite. It's a pleasure. I'm excited. You know, sometimes covering USF over the last couple of years has been tough to say the least. So it's it's nice to still talk some football.
Yeah, most definitely. I imagine when I got to imagine when you guys looked at the schedule. You probably never thought in your wildest dreams that FAMU would be coming in with a 1-1 record or any kind of record better than USF. But actually, the Rattlers come in 1-1. USF sitting at 0-2 right now. And I think the overall thing, we were kind of talking about it earlier, both teams have something that they need to work on in order to, just improve their season and keep the fans happy. Give us your take on what you have seen from USF thus far in these first 2 weeks of the season.
Week one was not kind to the Bulls. NC State completely demolished them. And, against Florida this past weekend, they were able to score points. So that's improvement. It's the small things. You gotta take pleasure in the small wins when you're trying to rebuild the program from the ground up. And that's the small thing. We do a film room at the Daily Stampede, and you can see some of the plays that, Florida was just a little bit better at than USF, and against maybe a lesser opponent, whoever it may be, those plays may hit. So it's those little things. The proof of concept's there in the offensive scheme. It's now down to execution at this point.
You talked about being in a rebuild mode. Is that obviously this is the second year under head coach Jeff Scott? And under his tenure, there's only been one win thus far. Obviously, he's starting his career in a pandemic, so that can't be easy for starters. That cannot be easy. But you did mention a rebuild. Is that what USF is in the middle of right now? A true rebuild as you see it?
Yeah, recruiting really fell off under former head coach Charlie Strong for, plenty of reasons, and then you throw in a pandemic, and Jeff Scott was really behind the eight ball, trying to get the program back in order. But it seems like he's started to fix the culture. Losing does funny things to people. We've seen that at USF over the last few years. It's been over a year since USF has actually won a football game. Not FBS, just any football game whatsoever. And I think that they really have Saturday circled as let's just get a win, just get something positive going in the right direction. And they know, eight FBS schools have been upset already this year by FCS schools, most recently Florida State with Jacksonville State this past weekend. So they're not taking FAMU lightly. FAMU, you guys know, last year you canceled season, but you're coming off a 9-2 year in 2019. And with where USF is now, there's no easy win. So they have to take that mentality that, and I think they have, that it's going to be a fight, for 4 quarters.
It's funny, Calvin. See, he was saying they haven't won in nearly 2 years either. So, see, I'm telling you, the similarities that both teams are dealing with, it's almost like looking in the mirror. Anyway, go ahead,
I'd really take your 9 wins in 2019 over what happened in 2019, but that's neither here nor there.
Thank you. Honesty. So, right. Nathan, one of my initial thoughts about this game, and anytime you have an FCS and FBS matchup, is generally the differences within the depth of the team. Both teams generally have good skill position. I would say at the FBS level, the line play is a little bit stronger because of nutrition, training tape, and so forth. But when you start seeing separation, traditionally, as the game goes on, it's the special teams. And when you start going into the second and third unit, has Coach Scott got the USF Bulls? Because FAMU has pretty good depth actually this year. This is in multiple locations. They also have a lot of FBS transfers, so I don't anticipate them being intimidated by the environment. And we have won a lot of games, so I feel like we'll show up. We'll just have to see from there. But I'm interested. I feel like you all come in hungry and mad, and know this is an opportunity that you need to take care of. And then you mentioned Florida State, Jacksonville, and Washington and Montana State, some of the FCS schools this season has upset. So doggone, I was hoping we was gonna sneak up on you, but I don't anticipate that's gonna be the case. But just talk about your depth.
I don't think so.
In this team.
Offensive line depth is to be desired. I mean, they've gotten bigger over the last year and a half or so. But I do worry, if there's an injury along the starting five, your guess is as good as mine who's coming in and what their productivity level is going to be. There's a starting five, and then there's a pretty steep drop off on the twos. So you got to stay healthy along the trenches, and you guys can see the first 2 weeks against Power 5 conference level teams, the offensive line got pushed around quite a bit. I don't expect that to happen as much, but USF has struggled over the last couple of years creating push along the trenches offensively. And then defensively, they're still pretty small. They've kind of run a hybrid 3-3-5. They'll sometimes go 4 down linemen, but the size still isn't there. I think their biggest defensive tackles, like 301 pounds sopping wet. So you can get push. It's USF's lacked in creating havoc plays, those tackles for loss, the sacks, those numbers aren't there. So it can be had to get some chunk plays. Fortunately for FAMU, you're not going. USF's played FAMU 3 times. Luckily, you're not going up against Andre Hall like in 2005, who was just an all-world running back, NFL player. Right. And then in 2011, BJ Daniels had a school record night. Terrell Scott had 3 touchdowns. And then in 2015, you guys were the first victims of Quentin Flowers during the resurgence. Right. Those guys are not walking in through that door. There's no one there's no one on this roster right now that can do what they did to you guys.
We hope not.
I don't think you're going to see anyone hurdling anybody like Darrell Scott did in 2011 or BJ Daniels throwing a guy off in the end zone and throwing a bomb. I don't think you're going to see that. So that's got to be a pro for you guys that maybe there's a upset brewing.
You mentioned that upset and those 8 FCS wins and just keeping everybody awake. Yeah, I definitely thought at the beginning of the year, yeah, we might be able to sneak up on USF, but I gotta feel like everybody is on pins and needles. I mean, there's got to be messages floating all over USF locker rooms saying, "Don't be like Florida State." I mean, something like that. What have you heard from Coach Scott? Obviously, coaches are going to talk about their guys and what they need to do and controlling ourselves. But I mean, behind the scenes, is there an awareness, more awareness than maybe there probably might have been had Florida State's mishap happened?
Yeah, absolutely. Publicly, he was asked at his press conference on Tuesday about do you have to put Jacksonville State on the bulletin board? And he's like, we're 0-2. Like, we can't take anyone lightly. And, I mean, I think that's just the theme across the program in general is you guys are 0-2. You're 1-10 in your last 11 games. You haven't beaten anyone in over a year. There's enough reason to get up for this game other than not being the 9th team to lose to an FCS school.
Yeah. The 2-quarterback system. I mean, obviously FAMU is dealing with its own quarterback issues. We're trying to find a guy, and it looks like USF is trying to find a guy too. You've got Cade Fortin, who started the last 2 games, but then in each game he's been relieved by Timmy McClain, a true freshman who I'm, in all honesty, I'm familiar with because I live in the Seminole County area, so I've seen what he's done at Sanford Seminole High School the last couple of years. Leading them to a state title his senior year. What's going on with the quarterback? How do you see this playing out? Is this the game where maybe you or the coaches, people are hoping that, hey, we can finally settle on our guy after this game?
Yeah, leading up into the season, Jeff Scott, he said we want to have a QB1 by the start of the season. And then 6 drives in against NC State, that changed. Cade Fortin was ineffective. I think he was just a little jacked up. It was his first start in a little over a year and a half. He's jacked up, missing throws. Timmy McClain comes in, does what Timmy does. I mean, he did it in high school. You know, Brian. He was an electric playmaker in high school and was able to give the Bulls some sort of spark at NC State, but he made freshman mistakes, threw a couple of ill-advised interceptions in the red zone. And then last week versus Florida, it seemed like the plan was, Cade, you're getting the first half. Timmy, you're not getting in until the second half at the earliest. I would love to see them do a little bit more two-quarterback system, like a true two-quarterback system, like Florida's doing right now with Emory Jones and Anthony Richardson, too. Some great success. Timmy, if there was a guy who would pull off an Andre Hall type of, Quentin Flowers type of game, it's Timmy McClain. He's that electric. I think he's going to be one of the, when everything's said and done, I think he's going to be one of the best quarterbacks to come through USF. He's absolutely electric, and I want to see him get more involved earlier when the game's not out of hand. I want to see what he can do against the ones. We've seen what he's able to do against, when they're trailing and the twos and threes are in for the other team. Let's see him against some starters. I want to see that.
What do you got, Kelvin?
Nathan, I have a question that's a little bit not about this particular game, but I think I saw somewhere that USF is mentioning about doing their on-campus stadium. Is that correct? And what can you tell us about that?
Yeah, so I guess it was last week, last Wednesday, USF finally broke ground on their indoor performance facility. Being in Florida, it rains a lot. I don't know if you guys have know this about Florida, but it rains a lot during the summer. A lot of lightning in the area. So, the team will get pulled off, and, they'll have to wait in the weight room for an hour before they can go back out, or sometimes they'll just have to scrap the practice completely. So being able to have that indoor performance center is going to help them tremendously. It's going to help recruits. Recruits love shiny new things. It's going to help that. And then, State Representative Will Weatherford, who's the chairman of the Board of Trustees at USF, basically boldly claimed we're going to have an on-campus stadium at USF. And from what I'm hearing, they're hoping to have butts and seats at a new stadium in 2025, 2026.
Okay.
Wow.
I'll believe it when I see it. At this point, I mean, it took 4.5 years for USF to raise $22 million for the Performance Center. Where they're getting $250 million at minimum for an on-campus stadium, your guess is as good as mine. I don't see it. I don't see it happening. The USF has some deep pockets, but getting into those deep pockets has always been a struggle.
Do they have a master plan? Do they have it indicated? Do they have a location on campus where they're targeting?
Nothing official. I've heard through the grapevine it's kind of where the track stadium is. They're gonna kind of retrofit or at least kind of clear that out. The one stipulation that I've heard multiple times is they cannot have a track around the football stadium. It just doesn't look great. So they're going to have to find a new home for the track stadium as well. So that's a whole other thing completely. So and USF is breaking ground on the Performance Center, so they're kind of tied to that general area of campus. Like you can't have USF's campus is pretty big. You can't have the stadium, 2 miles away where your players are actually going to have to get on buses. The equipment staff's going to get on buses to trek down to the stadium. It just doesn't work. It doesn't flow. It just doesn't seem practical. So you're kind of locked into that northeast corner of campus.
Yeah, no doubt. So that part, we FAMU and USF are part of a 3-year deal. This being the first of 3, 2023. And I heard on the podcast that's on the Daily Stampede, they were mentioning that 2023 game is the week before Alabama, which is scheduled in 2023.
Trap game.
Yeah, trap game, definitely. And then 2027, that might be the game. That might be the only, if the 5-year plan comes true, that might be the game where we are playing on USF's campus in 2027. So we'll circle that one and see how both programs are looking 6 years down the road. But back to this game, and it's going to be at Raymond James Stadium. Good crowd for the home opener against Florida. 64,000. I saw pictures and jokingly probably said, hey, that's probably a home road game for a USF. I don't know.
Oh yeah, it was about 70-30 Florida fans, and I know USF has cheap season tickets, and I know a lot of Florida fans bought season tickets for that game because you can get seats for $150 and you have a ticket to the Florida game as well. So that makes a lot of sense in that respect. That that's just cost efficient at that point, and then they can sell off the rest and kind of make that money back. So it's not. It wasn't a terrible idea. It helped USF juice up their season ticket numbers. I would probably say that there was probably 45,000 at the stadium. It was a weird day. It was rainy on and off, and USF coming off that 45-0 beatdown at the hands of NC State to open the season really tempered some excitement for the program, to say the least.
So with everything happening, obviously here comes Florida A&M. The Marching 100 is scheduled to come. FAMU has a good alumni base in Tampa. What type of crowd? I mean, what is USF? What is the fan base? What's the excitement for this game? Because I'd love to hear from your perspective what the view is of, hey, we're playing an FCS team. This is a game we should win. It's Florida A&M. What's the vibe like? What do you think the crowd numbers will be like?
We like to do a little, announced and actual kind of attendance. I'd say announced probably around 50, 55. Actual, depending on the weather, probably 30. And people will leave after halftime because everyone goes to the games to watch the Marching 100. We all know that. I'm sitting in the press box. I don't leave the press box, to go to the bathroom or eat some food. I watch them. I'll actually even go down to the main concourse so I really fully hear them. It's always, you don't miss that, right? That's part of the pageantry of college football, especially the HBCUs that are so prevalent in Florida. I don't want to mention the team in Daytona, but they've got an okay band too. It's those are the reasons you come to a game like this, especially when you haven't won in over a year. You really hope that USF pulls out this one, and if not, you got to see a really good marching band.
Yeah. So the tough part is I've struggled, and our third member of our crew, Kofi, couldn't be here. He gave me his prediction, which I'll share later on in the show. But what's your prediction for this game? And I know that's got to be hard because I feel like it's a hard question on this side to try to answer. But from your perspective, what's your predicted score for this game?
Oh man, I do think USF wins. I truly do, just based off what they were able to do offensively against Florida's defense when the ones were in there. Gives you a little bit of hope that I think you guys can both agree. FAMU's defensive line is nothing like Florida's defensive line, and they've got talent across the board at Florida that are going to go to the NFL, first-round picks. Zach Carter, they've got the big guy who's like 6'2", 400 pounds from Armwood. FAMU doesn't have that. I think USF can create enough push, get the running game going. I think Cade and Timmy can do enough. I don't think it's not going to be a blowout. I think you guys will. There's a good chance. So FAMU scored 23 total points in the 3 games. There's a good chance you hit that in this game. So 38-23, I think, is a fair assessment. I think USF wins, but it's closer than some people are comfortable with. But it's still a win. But USF fans will still complain about how they didn't blow out a FCS school. Not realizing that FAMU went 9-2 in 2019, their last season, and just absolutely stomped Fort Valley State last week. So I get it.
And the last question for you: FAMU shocks the world if USF does this.
Turns the ball over and can't convert third downs. That's it. USF's been terrible on third downs for the last 2 years. I think they're converting about 28% this year, and that's right around what they were in 2020. If they can't keep the FAMU defense on the field to wear them down, then that third, fourth quarter, things get tight on the USF sideline if it continues to stay close, and Cade and Timmy are throwing interceptions or fumbling, whatever. That's how FAMU pulls the upset. And just a general rule, I think, going forward for any FBS schools, if you're up by 3 with 6 seconds left in the game, maybe have like 3 or 4 safeties at the end zone, just in case. Just in case. And also, if you see the ball going up, there's no time left. Just tackle the guy. So it's a 15-yard penalty. What are they going to do? 15-yard penalty, and now now that there's no time left, and you got to kick a field goal to send it into overtime. Yeah, good luck, FCS kicker. Have that pressure.
Yeah, great point.
Great commentary.
Perfect. Well said. Well, Nathan, we appreciate you coming on, talking about USF. Look, I normally say good luck to you guys this week, but good luck to you guys next week and the weeks going forward and the rest of the season.
Amen,
and,
absolutely.
Yeah, and it'll be interesting to see how this one plays out. So again, Nathan Bond, the Daily Stampede, part of SB Nation, covering everything USF. Nathan, the dailystampede.com, correct?
Yes, sir.
Dailystampede.com. Go check out the coverage if you want to see what's going on with the guys that the Rattlers are going to be playing this upcoming weekend. And I promise you, it'll look like, hey, a lot of the things Nathan said, this stuff Kelvin and I have been talking about, sound like looking in a mirror, just on different levels. So,
yeah.
It'll be interesting.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So thanks again for coming on, Nathan. Have a good night. Good luck to you guys the rest of the year. All right.
I appreciate it. Thank you both for having me on. It was a pleasure.
All right. We're going to take a short break, come back with a little bit more. You're watching the ONG Strike Zone. We'll be back right after these words.
Shop Velvet Online Women's Boutique to spice up your closet with trendy, unique looks. We have fashionable and chic looks at very affordable prices. Velvet Boutique offers free shipping all year long on all orders. Shop online at www.melvetboutique.com. That's www.melvetboutique.com. Like us on Facebook and follow us on Instagram. Shop Velvet Online Women's Boutique.
Sugar Chateau Desserts is a specialty bakery located in the Charlotte, North Carolina metro area. We will create delicious and one-of-a-kind treats for any occasion. Sugar Chateau is currently shipping cakes in a jar, offering a variety of different flavors in a single-serve container that can help you celebrate in accordance with social distancing. Place your orders today by calling 803-526-7895 or visiting sugarchateaudesserts.com.
For 200 years, Montgomery, Alabama has been making history by people who had the courage to stand up for change. Today, this riverfront city has been reborn, embracing the past and looking forward to the future. From the National Memorial for Peace and Justice to the stage of the Alabama Shakespeare Festival, this is where history was and is made. We are proud to call Montgomery home, and together, we can be the change.
The Cuvée Group is a Florida-based marketing and training consulting firm. We help businesses communicate to their target audience and engage them in conversation. We also help to expand their audiences, which will ultimately result in growth for those organizations. In addition to being a certified constant contact specialist, my colleagues and I are also certified in John Maxwell Leadership Principles. We use these proven principles to conduct workshops, training, and private coaching sessions for individuals and companies looking to take things to the next level. Contact us to schedule a free consultation. Issues today, don't delay, call Cuvée.
Since 2002, Empowerment Resources, Inc., a nonprofit organization, has empowered more than 1,500 youth and adults in Duval and surrounding counties. Through its programs, Journey into Womanhood, Girls Mentoring, Life Skills for Teens, and parenting education coaching. To get involved with programs, volunteer, or donate, visit www.empowermentresourcesinc.org. Follow us on social media, facebook.com/empowerment.resources and instagram.com/empowermentJAX.
It's never too early to plant the seed, to share the tradition, and instill a sense of pride in your HBCU with your little ones. HBCU Pride and Joy Children's Boutique helps you share your school spirit with a wide selection of adorable kids' apparel and accessories officially licensed from your favorite HBCU. Visit hbcupridejoy.com and follow us on all social media at HBCU Pride Joy on Facebook and Twitter.
The human voice has always connected audiences with experiences. Major brands all across America have trusted Kever's voice time and time again. Conversational, powerhouse, intelligent, and sincere. That's the voice you need for your creative marketing process. KEAVERSVOICE.com. Kever's Voice, Kever's Voice, KeversVoice.com. Always on, all the time.
Are you hungry for authentic Caribbean food like jerk chicken, oxtail, red snapper, shrimp, tofu, and rasta pasta? Well, find your way over to Mango's Caribbean Restaurant, 180 Auburn Avenue, right next to Royal Peacock in downtown Atlanta.
Them belly full, but we hungry.
Mango's Caribbean Restaurant, open daily from 11 a.m. to 10 p.m. And on Friday and Saturday, we're open till 4 a.m. Come to Mango's and put some spice in your life.
Oh, we've got a good thing going.
Mango's Caribbean Restaurant, 180 Auburn Avenue, right next to Royal Peacock in downtown Atlanta. For more info or directions, call 404-698-3992 or log on to mangoscaribbeanrestaurant.com. For instant coupons, text MANGOS to 313131.
Tell your mama hungry, papa hungry, brother hungry.
Mango's Caribbean Restaurant, authentic Caribbean cuisines.
Open up the door, tell them mama hungry.
All right, welcome back to the O&G Strike Zone. Brian and Kelvin here, and again, want to thank Nathan Bond of the Daily Stampede, SB Nation, for taking time to talk to us about the USF. And I don't know, Kelvin. I don't know if I feel better or we're still kind of nervous about my predictive score. We'll get to predictions a little bit later. Let's turn our attention to our outstanding volleyball program, just tearing it up, in my opinion. By far and away the best program in the SWAC. I mean, we're only 3 weeks into the year, and I mean, there's like us and then maybe everybody else. There might be one or two teams in a tier 2, and then everybody else falls into tier 3. But clearly, Lady Rattlers are starting to separate themselves as a team that can compete against other. I don't know if you call mid majors. I don't know if the terminology applies, but using that construct of the basketball mid majors, we're schools within our region. Let's put it like that. We're handling ourselves quite nicely. So this time, the Lady Rattlers this past weekend went out to the College of Charleston Classic, came back with 2 wins. 2 wins, just 1 loss. We actually played in the most number of sets that we played in an entire, 3-day period. We beat Campbell University 3-1, then defeated Idaho State 3-2. And I believe in that game, we actually had to come from behind. We were down 2. No, take that back. We were up 2-1 after the third. Ended up giving the third back, the fourth back to Idaho State. Went into a 5th set and ended up winning that 5th set 15-5. And then, of course, we played the host, College of Charleston, beat them. Or, well, no, we lost to them, but we did get a win on them. We did win the third set, 25-20, before surrendering the fourth and losing overall 3-1. So 4, 8, 5, 13 sets played over the weekend. What's your overall take on the Lady Rattlers, who I believe our record right now sits at 5-4 on the season? Kelvin?
I'm very impressed with this team. We played a diverse group of teams out of conference, and we've been competitive with everybody. And let's not forget the Florida State match, in which we won a set from them also. And I think we've only been swept in our losses once. And as Coach Gokon warned us and told us, when he's taking our team to this tournament, he's playing teams that have different styles of volleyball. Mm-hmm. So he's exposing the young ladies into the potential opponents that they'll see if we win the conference and so forth. You made mention about the SWAC right now, and I think collectively the SWAC entire conference outside of us has maybe 2 or 3 wins. And then and the only other HBCU I see that's really doing well is Delaware State over in MEAC. They have a pretty good record too out of conference, better than ours actually. But I don't know if the competition is good. But they are playing.
Right, I was going to say I don't know who they're playing over there. Right, yeah.
Right. But they are playing similar teams, mid-major. So the team is where I hoped they would be. You didn't know because it's been a couple of years since they played. But you knew there was talent there, and just thinking about what Dominique said last week, it's obvious that this team is really gelling and coming together. And for the third week in a row, we swept the volleyball players of the week. So we got a lot to be excited about in Tallahassee.
Yeah, as mentioned, the Rattlers sweep the Players of the Week again. Dominique Washington, friend of the program, we like to say, was the Offensive Player of the Week and Newcomer of the Week. Her teammate Jessa Long was the Defensive Player of the Week, and setter Iram Ukar. We got to get Iram in here because she's been tearing it up as well. She's been I don't think she's a freshman. Or is she? Hold on, I'm going to look it up real quick here. Yeah, she's a freshman from Izmir, Turkey, previously transferred from TCU. So I think that's our next get, Kelvin. We got to work on getting Iram in here. So Dominique, if you're watching, we got to get your teammate Iram in here to come into the podcast, to the O&G Strike Zone. She's a freshman. She's been tearing it up. I think she's won setter of the week like every week here. So a big day for all 3 ladies. And of course, you mentioned the standings. FAMU with a record of 5-4. And as I look at the SWAC standings, combined, the rest of the conference has 5 wins among 4 programs. Yeah. So again, as I was saying, there's a tier A, which is us, tier 2, where you got a couple of other schools that are winning, and then there's like everybody else. And so that's pretty much how the SWAC is looking right now. And really, I know I'm poking fun, but really I'm just talking about games played or sets played. When you go and look at those losses, are those 3-0 losses, or are some of our SWAC schools getting 1 win, getting no wins? And right now I'm seeing a lot of blanks, a lot of 0-3s, a lot of 0-3s, 0-3, 0-3. I'm just looking in here. I saw Jackson State got a 1 of 4 against Northwestern State this past week. But over the weekend, though, yeah, it's pretty dry. And then we're talking like similar competition. I mean, some of these wins are coming against NAIA or Division II schools. You know, they're not coming against other Division I programs.
We're separating ourselves, Brian.
We are in a real big way. So this weekend, this is the last non-conference weekend for the Lady Rattlers before the conference season starts. They travel up to Auburn, Alabama. So any Rattlers in the I think Auburn is north. Is it north or central Alabama? I don't really. My geography is bad in the state of Alabama. I think it's northern Alabama. But either way, if you're near and you can get out to Auburn, Alabama, SEC country, get over there Friday night or Friday afternoon. The ladies take on Auburn University in the first game of 3. Then Friday night, they play Belmont University. 6:30 is that game against Belmont. And then Saturday afternoon, 12:30, they take on Nicholls State. So I got a feeling this will be a real challenge. First off, you're taking on the SEC opponent to start. And then I think Belmont and Nicholls will be very comparative to what we've already seen. So can we get 1 or 2? You know, I'd like to see us still be at 500 overall by the time we come out of Auburn, heading into the Jackson competition to start the SWAC on September 24th.
Absolutely, and I think we can get. I think we can definitely get 2, and I'm a little bit agreed. I'm gonna say 3 is not out of the question. Yes, Auburn is in the SEC, but I don't know if they're a top tier SEC program, any better than Florida State, which is an ACC. So I just want the girls to go and compete and represent the university like they have, and I'm sure they will. And we should look really good going into conference play.
Yeah. Auburn is just looking at their record, currently sitting at 6-0. They have only lost 2 sets, and that was they got pushed to 5 by Santa Clara this past weekend. So they are. It'll be interesting. It will definitely be interesting to see how we do. All right, let's take a break. And then when we take a break, we're going to come back for the final segment of the show, give our predictions, our look ahead, our final thoughts about this weekend's contest for the Rattler football team traveling to Tampa. Calvin will be on site. We'll kind of see what he's looking for in this competition. And let's see whether any of us, anybody pick a upset. We'll find out coming up after this short timeout. You're watching the O&G Strike Zone right here. Brian and Kelvin. We'll be back right after these words.
Shop Velvet Online Women's Boutique to spice up your closet with trendy, unique looks. We have fashionable and chic looks at very affordable prices. Velvet Boutique offers free shipping all year long on all orders. Shop online at www.melvetboutique.com. That's www.melvetboutique.com. Like us on Facebook and follow us on Instagram. Shop Velvet Online Women's Boutique.
Sugar Chateau Desserts is a specialty bakery located in the Charlotte, North Carolina metro area. We will create delicious and one-of-a-kind treats for any occasion. Sugar Chateau is currently shipping cakes in a jar, offering a variety of different flavors in a single-serve container that can help you celebrate in accordance with social distancing. Place your orders today by calling 803-526-7895 or visiting sugarchateaudesserts.com.
For 200 years, Montgomery, Alabama has been making history by people who had the courage to stand up for change. Today, this riverfront city has been reborn, embracing the past and looking forward to the future. from the National Memorial for Peace and Justice to the stage of the Alabama Shakespeare Festival. This is where history was and is made. We are proud to call Montgomery home, and together we can be the change.
All right, welcome back to the ONG Strike Zone. Final segment here. Brian and Kelvin here. Again, make sure you're following us. However you're watching the show on Facebook or YouTube, make sure you hit that like button and subscribe. If you're watching us on social media, make sure to follow along at ONG Strike Zone on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and of course, hey, the email. Send us emails. Mailbag. We promise we will answer the mailbag questions. A lot of people had some comments about Kofi's preseason band, his preseason band segment. We will answer those questions next week. We thought we'd be able to answer them this week, but obviously Kofi couldn't be here with us on this show. He said, I will get to those questions next week and some of the reviews on that, but all around good stuff. All right, here we go. Week number 3. This is week 3, isn't it? Wow. Here we go. Some games around the SWAC before we get to the FAMU USF contest. Starting Thursday night, Alabama A&M, the champs, are rolling to Florida, but they're rolling over to Daytona Beach to take on Bethune-Cookman. It's a 7:30 kickoff on ESPNU. Kelvin, how do you see that one playing out?
Ooh. I watched A&M against South Carolina State, man, and it was a shootout. And I didn't know South Carolina State could put up that kind of points and would give up that kind of points. Bethune has been playing FBS competition in the first 2 weeks, and they've actually looked pretty decent, right? They've been competitive. Right. I really like their team, honestly. I know, Brian, you was warning at the beginning of the season. You was like, man, everybody just looking over BCU. And I have to agree with you. I'll give you some flowers, brother, on that one.
Oh, well, thank you. Appreciate you.
Because I really think they're tough, man. They got good size. They're athletic. And they're going to be a problem, man. And so it's going to have to be another track meet win for A&M. And they obviously have the firepower to do it. But I'm going to roll with BCU on this one, man. In a semi shootout, I think I'm gonna choose BCU because I think they play better defense and more consistent defense. So I'm probably go 35-30 BCU.
Wow. Okay. 35-30 BCU. See, I'm going 35-28 Alabama A&M. I'm going close ball game. I don't know whether it'll be close because A&M wins it on a late drive, or maybe Bethune just kind of puts a late touchdown up. But I would not be surprised to go into the fourth quarter and see that game within one score. So I will be out at that stadium and over at the game. So look forward to covering that game. So make sure to either follow my personal Twitter feed at DRB365 or on the Black College Sports Network Twitter feed. Some other games on Saturday. We'll get to FAMU and South Florida last. Prairie View is hosting Houston Baptist. This is a 7 o'clock p.m. kickoff. Mississippi Valley State travels to Stephen F. Austin. That's a 7 o'clock Eastern start. Grambling, after being shut out last week, travels to Houston to play the Cougars. That is a 7 p.m. Eastern. That'll be on ESPN+. Arkansas Pine Bluff travels to Central Arkansas. 7 p.m. Eastern kickoff. And then a game that I really have circled, it's Alcorn got a big FCS victory for the conference. McNeese State traveling to Southern. Head coach Jason Rollins came from McNeese State. McNeese State has they're like the third. AD Drew and I joke that McNeese State is the 13th member of the SWAC because they have owned the SWAC over the last decade. So can Southern get one for the brand, so to speak? Can they get one for the SWAC culture, as the kids like to say? That's going to be on ESPN Plus, 7 o'clock, and then Alcorn State, who just came up with a big win, traveling to South Alabama, 8 p.m. Eastern. A lot of stuff going on at Alcorn State. A lot of stuff. We're not going to talk about other people's houses, but let's just say, looking outside, you walk by the house, you're like, whoa, there's some mess going on over there.
That's a raggedy house.
Yeah. And then an FBS upset alert. Jackson State traveling to Louisiana Monroe. 8 p.m. ESPN 3. The Jackson State Tigers are a live dog. You know what that means. You know what that means. I will be looking to play on Jackson State for a second consecutive week as an underdog. I still don't know how they were an underdog against Tennessee State, but neither here nor there. That will be an upset watch. That might be one of those FCS beat FBS games. Any of those games that I just mentioned, what's a game or two that you're kind of looking at there, Kelvin, out of that list I just ran through?
I don't see many opportunities for victories, but that Jackson State game is interesting to me. Louisiana Monroe. They lost to Kentucky, which is a really good Kentucky team, 45-10. They're a legitimate Group of Five program. I guess what would probably determine that game for me is Sanders. How he does as a passer. If he can repeat the performance he did against Tennessee State. He threw the ball very well against Tennessee State, almost 400 yards. So if they can put up points, they have a talent level that can stay with that team. So I'm interested to see that. And then, like you, I want to see if Southern can defend the home front since McNeese State's winning. McNeese State's 0-2. If you're going to get them, this is the year to get them. So
exactly. If you can't get them this year, then, I mean, we might as well just go ahead and print some T-shirts and stick that McNeese State logo on there as the 13th member officially then. I'm just going to say that now. If you can't get them now, you may never get them. So, all right. Florida A&M traveling to Tampa, 7 o'clock kickoff, Raymond James Stadium. As it was noted, this is the second pro football stadium that the Rattlers will get to play in. So that's a big deal. Still no starter name. I thought that was key. That was important. No depth chart has been released yet as of our taping in the middle of the week here and of this evening live. So we don't know. And I don't think we will know. But what are your takeaways? I don't know if you've got two or three. What are you most interested in seeing this weekend, Kelvin, from the Rattlers?
I want to see, does this defensive performance that we've seen the first two games, does it translate against FBS competition for 4 quarters? I think our talent level is there, and I think our depth is there. And like I say, we started adding pieces to that. And who knows, I hadn't seen Dick Say yet, and some other guys. I don't know what their status is, but we could be adding pieces. So, and as far as I know, everybody's healthy for the most part on that side of the ball. So I want to see if that translates against SBS competition. And then with the offense, I just want to see more, just sustain production, right? I like to see us to have 8-10 play drives, even if we don't score. So we not it's not lopsided. And defense is always on the field. And I want to see if we can keep it close, right? This is a game, our talent level. If we get solid quarterback play, don't have to be spectacular, but if we get solid quarterback play and keep it close, like Nathan said, you don't, it get tight in the third, fourth quarter when you ain't put away somebody you think you better than. So I would like for us to be in that position. But again, I'm thinking and I'm hoping that our defense is good enough. Well, we'll be in the game, and I would like to see Rashawn start again. I don't blame coaches. There's no need to really name a starter, and in the big scheme of things for this game, I don't know how much it matters, to be honest. Uh, so if you have a platoon system, if that's the way you're gonna go, that's fine. But I think I would like to see Rashawn start at least and see how it goes from there. And I'm gonna just go ahead and throw my prediction out there, right? I want to be a homer so bad, I really do. But I have to be honest and think what I think gonna happen. So I'm hoping and thinking we'll keep it close in the first half, and keeping it close in the first half to me is, within 10 points, right? So say they have a 21-10 lead or something at half. I think that's solid. Now, if we can come out in the third quarter and make adjustments and not allow them to separate from us, then I think we can be in the game into the fourth quarter, which means we're in the game. But I don't know if our offensive scoring, if we don't put enough points, I don't know if we can do that. So I'm looking at a score similar to what Nathan was kind of predicting. But it would be good if we can get that many points. So I'm saying if we can get 21, anything over 17 is good to me against them, and keep them under 35, then that's a good showing. And that's what I expect to see. That's what I want to see. And but I feel like they'll separate late and probably get a few calls. So let's say 30-17 USF.
So you go 30-17. Okay. Well, for me, what I'd like to see, I would like to see us run the ball more than pass the ball. I really want us to be more 50-50. I would even say, can we go 55-45? I think that's what this one, I think it'll keep us in the ball game. I think we have enough misdirection as well as the combination of some power sets that we can do a combination of both and use our speed and use our power. I don't think we want to be passing the ball all day. That's the first thing. I think the longer we're able to keep ourselves on the field, the more rest we can give our defense. I kind of agree with you about starting McKay. But with that said, I would like for Coach Simmons to at least maybe tell those two guys, Muratovic and McKay, hey, look, at least for the first half, we're gonna go two possessions per. Give McKay 2 possessions, then give Muratovic 2, and then let's see where we're at halftime. I mean, as Nathan was talking about, it works for other programs. Right now, until we see one guy sustain some good drives, and I think we're looking for things other than just the completion and drives. We're looking for the right reads, the good throws, not balls that are skipping off the turf or out of the catch radius of our receivers. We're looking for, good direction, steady leadership, good passes, good footwork, good decision making. Don't turn the ball over. That guy is the guy who's going to carry the rest of the game into the second half, maybe even the fourth quarter, because I do think we can still be in this ball game. I will be shocked if we get eviscerated in the first quarter, first half. That would really depress me more than anything I've seen thus far this season. And I'm trying like you, I'm trying to hold back my thoughts here because I know in 2019, I kind of thought we might show up against UCF. No, we had some people who weren't ready for that game. Who looked a little like they had some deer in the headlights and didn't want to be out there. I don't think that is this team. We have enough FBS transfers that, look, they've got 18 FBS transfers overall on that roster. It's a rebuild. We've got 10 just on the defensive side of the ball. Hell, we got 10 who just came in over the last 2 weeks, probably. So, I mean, there should be no lack of talent and ability. Our offensive line averages 311. their offensive line averages 309, just under 310. We match up offensive line versus offensive line. They may have, they don't have any great, powerful defensive front guys. We don't either. But so where we are advantageous is in the secondary. So let those secondary guys run. Cut them loose, man. Let Antoine Collier and Dixon and the Bowler boy, let cut these guys loose. So hopefully we can still stay in this ball game going into the fourth quarter. I, like you, want to make the homer prediction. And if I had my wish, I would say FAMU wins 28-24. But I don't know if we can score 4 touchdowns on offense, to be honest with you. So with that said, I got to cut that in half and say a final score of 24-14. And that's, again, just based off what I've seen from the offense. And I think USF getting 14 may come mostly in the late second half when our defenses work their butt to the bone and maybe USF gets a late score. The game might be close all the way and then they get a late score to push it to 24-14. But, it'd be nice to think that our offense could get 4 touchdowns. And it is encouraging that they don't have the kind of guys that wiped us out the last 3 times we played USF. Those, as Nathan said, those guys aren't walking through the door. So it does make you feel just a smidge better about this game. But, I'm going to be a realist this day and hope I'm wrong. I'm just going to hope I'm wrong. So my final prediction.
Hey, Brian, don't it hurt when you can't predict the Rattlers?
It does. It's kind of it's a bad feeling. Kofi's prediction was worse than both of ours. He actually thinks it'll be more like a 35-3. So I mean, he's not even optimistic about getting a touchdown. But again, he said it's more so a product of the offense. So I think we're all kind of saying the same thing. You've got the offense scoring 17. I've got 14. Kofi's got 3. So let's just hope the offense exceeds our expectation. That's the thing. And if the offense exceeds our expectation, we gotta feel pretty good that the defense continues to do what they've done, and we'll have a productive contest.
Let me get one more aspect.
Yeah.
Special teams, right?
Okay.
If we can break a kickoff or a punt, we got a good kicker in the kicking game. If we can break a punt, a kick, then add that with a defensive turnover for a score, there's more ways to get points than just on offense. So I think to pull the upset, we're going to need that kind of effort from the defense and special teams to help the offense.
That's a good point. That's a great point. So who knows? Maybe FAMU can be the 9th, or if depending upon what somebody else does, maybe the 10th. But I'll go bold prediction: an FCS team will defeat an FBS team this weekend. Question is, who will it be?
HBCU. That's my question.
Oh, well, okay, yes. I'm going to say yes. Bold prediction, yes. An HBCU FCS will be an FBS this weekend. I just don't know who. So we'll kind of sit back and wait to see. All right, so that's going to do it for tonight's show. Please like, share, subscribe. Let Rattler Nation, let your friends know. Let Black College sports fans know about the ONG Strike Zone. Make sure you're following us as you see on the screen at ONG Strike Zone. Follow the Jericho Broadcast Networks app on the Google and Apple Play Store. Search MyJBN or MyBCSN is where you can find that app. And then, of course, the podcast version goes up later. That's on the BCSN Pod Zone, where you can find a host of shows, news, views, reviews on all kinds of Black college sports topics and schools. So all of that is there, just in one convenient place for you to go. Our show will be there as well. If you have any comments or suggestions, send them to ongstrikezone@gmail.com. Make sure to let us know your thoughts about this upcoming weekend, anything that you'd like to see us talk about, any special guests, any rattlers that out there that would like to, that we can talk to. We'd love to bring on the family. So that's going to do it for this show. For our friend who's not here and co-host, Kofi Hemingway, and for Kelvin Rozier, I'm Brian Fulford. Hey, Rattler Nation, head out to Tampa, be safe, and make sure to strike again. Good night.